All right. Hey, Gundamaniacs, welcome to the Gundam Explained show. We've got a good one today, I think. At least, I think I should say that. It wouldn't be a good idea for me to be like, hey, guys, just to let you know, this isn't going to be any good. Like, feel free to stay on. No one would do that. Anyway, Steven,
Make
good
sure
to
to
see you.
leave early so you can beat the traffic. Leave.
Yeah, right. It's like, don't worry, the last 10 minutes aren't going to be any good. No, but speaking of things that are good, your show yesterday, like if you have an itch when it comes to 3D printing, yesterday's show, was a good primer of FDM filament based, in the acrylic, the two, or not acrylic, but
Resin. Yeah.
resin. Yeah. The two different like main types of, 3D printing where like you've done for a while, making miniatures, little parts for Gunpla essentially. But with what you were talking about yesterday with the FDM, it's like you could print, stop mid-print, add magnets, and keep going.
That's right. There's pros and cons to everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, no, it's one of those videos that I think a lot of people have commented on my or one of those streams that a lot of people have commented on videos of mine, kind of asking those questions. And it's a lot of stuff that I was interested in learning about too. So I thought, that's something that you and I should talk about because
Yeah.
I always have a lot more fun when it's a back and forth between you and I versus me just talking because you are always you bring up the great perspective and you have different angles of looking at things like, well, what
Right.
if you can do this, then why can't you do that? And it's like, that's a good question. Maybe we should try it. Like that's
Yeah, I know. That's what's fun about this stuff. It's like if we're building Gunpla or just, 3D printing, like there's that thing where we're making stuff and it's just awesome. And speaking of making stuff, I gotta say, I haven't built Gunpla in a while, and I have this. It's right next to me. It's the Xenoblade Chronicles X Mecha that I've been meaning to build. I need to do that soon.
you got a skill.
It's well, yeah, I got a scale exactly. The name, but it's just seeing you work on this stuff. It's like, oh, I want to go 3D print, but it's like I have that old one that we talked about. The older ones are so annoying to use, and it's like, yeah, I haven't really done too much lately. One thing I did do, and if you guys haven't checked it out, so I'll stream on Tuesday and Thursday morning. And this morning I streamed and I had this idea for a kind of like the horrors of cyber new types. And so what I did was as I streamed, it's like in the first 10 minutes, I like recorded the video to then clip out. And what was neat about it is, what I when you see me talking, none of that's going to be in the video. So like if you're watching the live stream, you're like literally seeing behind the scenes. But it just made me think when I like stopped that segment this morning, I was like, okay, that was just 10 minutes. The beginning and then that. And it's like, wow, how long it took me to once I got the idea, kind of solidify into what do I want to focus on, then what is the content going to be? That took longer than the recording, the narration. And then even when I go edit it later, that's going to take way longer than the 10 minutes. So it's interesting the different steps. And it's why when I do the lives that I will do that because it allows me to kind of consolidate that time. So, for a lot of people out there, when they comment on my videos, they usually give me good ideas for videos. I would say let's take it a step further. What are some good ideas for videos that can also be very entertaining to watch me kind of narrate live? Because I think it would be neat to then incorporate the chat because the chat could come up with something while I'm recording a video. That would be cool to add in. So just throwing
It's
that
not a
out there.
bad idea. I love the idea of like live streaming the research and then publishing the final.
Yeah. Yeah. And I keep thinking back to having people in the chat to kind of contribute, just like when I'm reading the comments and someone has an idea and I'm like, oh yeah, let me expand on that. And that happened today when we were talking about the cyber new types. I forgot what someone said in the chat, but I was like, oh yeah, that's got to be another video. And then the other video that came out this week was about that hitting the 50K subscribers, which is just awesome in the sense that it's like, here's a Gundam lore channel that covers the collectibles that's at 50 K. You know what I mean? Like, sure, we have Kakarot and others, but it's nice that people like Gundam that much to where it grows. And along with that, if you guys haven't seen, Principality New York has sponsored a giveaway since I hit 50. Zionic Shadow hit me up. He's all like, "Hey man, you're about to hit 50. Let's do a giveaway." And I'm like, "Heck yeah!" If anyone's gonna help, I guess promote, it's Zionic Shadow and his crew, Principality New York. So head over to the Principality New York Instagram. It's actually linked in the description of this video, this live. They have the giveaway rules set up there. So it's pretty cool. A lot of P Bandai kits.
Yeah, I was gonna say free P Bandai. How can you
I know. I
can't
know,
lose?
right? Yeah. Um, okay, so trying to think of anything else interesting that went on. Okay, here's something. Did you hear about that Alan Richardson movie War Machine that's on Netflix?
Yes, that it's been in my recommended for a while, and my wife and I are just kinda like, "Oh, do we go for
So
it? I don't know."
I watched it,
Oh, you did?
barely remember any of it, except remembering that it was very generic and it reminded me, so maybe this is a me problem, of the Matt Damon and Ben Affleck movie. Where it's like the beginning, it's just going on and on, like, spending time with the characters. That actually sounds like a good thing. But it was like it seems like it's almost like meandering, and I guess it becomes tropey, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's bad. So I think it's maybe for me, it's like, "Oh, I know how this is gonna play out," and so I think I forget because then I meld it with everything else that's similar.
It is unfortunate when you become jaded by a certain story archetype where once you kind of pick, all right, I see this character is the tormented love interest. This is this character. Like you can kind of start to break the story down. It kind of ruins the immersion a little bit. So there is a little bit of that. I definitely understand where you're coming from when you are presented with a familiar story that
Yeah,
I don't know.
and when you
Yeah.
were just bringing up, like, the archetypes, I realized, okay, this movie doesn't do that. What it does instead is it plays out like a slasher film, but because it has a sort of military sci-fi, tone to it, I don't know, or sheen to it, then there is no horror tone, even though
Mm.
that's kind of what it's getting at, like yeah, so
I
check
mean,
it out and
is
see what you
there a
think.
military slasher film other than Aliens?
Um that's a really good, that's a great subgenre because, like, there's ones that are similar. Like, I would say Pitch Black almost. Remember, you know,
Yes, Pitch Black's good. Predator?
Predator. Okay, yeah, you nailed it right that with Predator. Yeah, Predator, Pitch Black, Aliens, they all have this through line. It's like where there's some elite force, human force that is fighting against a horror. Um, One that is not as sci-fi, have you seen the movie The Guest with the
No.
dude, oh man, I forget the guy's name, and he's a really cool actor. He was in, I could be wrong. No, 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 that's not him. I'm sorry.
The
Dan
Guest,
Stevens.
you say?
Does Dan Stevens sound familiar?
Yeah.
And actually, let me look it up since actually we're
I
both
was gonna
sharing a
say,
browser.
I'm
I want to, yeah, there we go. Dan Stevens, The
yeah,
Guest. So, um, and I guess I
interesting.
can show it on the stream because I have it up. So, The Guest, badass movie. It's like got home from the military, staying at a house, but he's like killing people. But he's not really the bad guy, but he's also not a good guy. Awesome movie.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is
And
this the movie that he got interviewed for? And, like, did have you seen this, like, meme clip that goes around about Dan Stevens,
no,
where he was on one of these British morning shows, and,
no, I don't
the,
know.
uh, the interviewer is, like, talking to him. I it's gotta be this one because he hasn't been in a lot of, like, American films, and she says to him, "Wow, you must have had to beat off a lot of American men to get this role," and he just loses it,
Oh,
like,
that sounds very familiar. That is hilarious. Yeah, I wonder what that was.
The
But
only reason I recognize is because he was, on Downton Abbey, and, my
oh,
wife, big Downton Abbey.
Yeah, you've mentioned that. No, I think this guy is an underutilized actor. I haven't even seen much. I've seen The Guest. What else? I know I've seen him in something else.
And he's, like, our age. He's not, like
Oh yeah, he must
yeah,
be. Yeah. Wait, Adam Wingard. So yeah, I think he was in he's in one of the Godzilla, New Empire. But
there you go.
that's not the best role for him because it's like they kind of gave him a kind of tropey role in it. I remember but he's someone that has a lot of neat range. Um, I recommend The Guest to anybody that
Interesting,
hasn't seen
yeah,
it.
for sure.
Um, but anyway, yeah, tone with horror movies in that military. So I think military or the type of movies where it is like a military or elite force, but fighting up against a monster. It doesn't have to be aliens. It could be like I think there's a Dog Soldiers. There's like a werewolf movie. Do you
Yeah, I
remember
see
that?
in chat, Barry brought that one up, so, yeah.
Oh,
Shout
holy
out to Barry in chat. Dog
um,
soldiers.
yeah, holy crap. That's a pretty cool call out. Yeah. Nice, Barry BB.
It
Yeah, I
is
got a lot of
a
you guys.
it can be a powerful tool for narrative, for emphasis, right? Like, it's not it's not unreasonable for a bunch of teenagers in the woods to be scared of a monster, but when you have, like, highly trained Marines and, like, elite squads that are being just absolutely torn apart by something, it's that can be terrifying, and then to compound that with people who don't have that training, and I think that that's where, like, Aliens really shines because you have people like Ripley and Newt and,
Oh yeah,
what's
among
Paul
the
Reiser's
rest.
character's name? But,
Right.
like,
Yeah, what's his name? I should know that.
I think it begins with a B. But yeah, you have, like, the Marines are getting torn apart, and then you have these non-combat trained people that are just like, "What chance do they have?"
Yeah. No, that's yeah, that also reminds me of like Halo with the flood.
Yes.
It's the same type of thing because even when the flood and so what's interesting is that these sometimes that monster bad guy. Oh, Carter J. Burke, Barry BB with the call outs there. But that whole idea of a swarm of a non-human enemy. You know what I mean? Where it's overwhelming. We can't relate to it. So it's easy to be like, wow, we're gonna be killed. We have to just destroy it. And how cool would it be if there was a movie where let's say and like on the coast, the west coast of Africa, some disease breaks out, everyone turns into zombies. But the zombies, and they've done this in movies, can survive underwater. And so a whole gang of them are just walking underwater west, coming up on the east coast. And then you have like all these military, I don't know, there's something there.
Well, that happened in Game of Thrones.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah.
The walkers,
Yeah,
the
the
what?
White Walkers, it's like they thought they got away because they all got on boats and started but then they all start, like, just walking into the water and just following them, and it's like,
What
yeah, it's probably gonna take them a lot longer to get to you, but they are
when
gonna
does
get to you.
when does that happen in the
I
series?
don't know, it's season 7 or 8.
Oh, it's later on, okay.
Yeah,
'Cause
when it got bad.
I didn't know oh, I didn't know it was that, monster-like. I mean, I know it had dragons, but I didn't know those things, showed up a lot, because that's
Yeah.
a cool if they did that, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to check that out.
For sure, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's sad because there's so many, like, great moments in modern TV that I think are weighed down by the narrative failings of the series as a whole. 'Cause you and we've talked about this before with, like, The Acolyte, there were so many, like, moments in The Acolyte that I think, like, "Man, that would've been really cool if the story wasn't so awful."
Dude, great point, because I always forget this, but there was that Ahsoka series that had zombie stormtroopers, and that
Right,
was an awesome idea, and even looking at it, it's awesome, but then when you watched it, it was, like, deflating.
right.
It had no substance to what we wanted. Oh, man, it's interesting how easy it is to a cool idea to just fall flat, because zombie stormtroopers seems like even the way they designed them. Um,
Yeah. No, there was a obviously I went to an art school, and so, I lived with a bunch of film students, and one of my roommates, actually, the way that he described how he wrote his films is he would come up with these, like, tentpole moments.
oh
So,
yeah.
like, he really liked crime movies and, like, Guy Ritchie type stuff, and so he would come up with these, like, hyper violent, interactions where it was like, "Oh, here's when the guy gets revenge on this and this, and then I'm gonna write the story to create that moment," and it's like, I think that that can be done well, but I think that a lot of people that are working in Hollywood and working for, like, Netflix and stuff like that are writing in that fashion where it's like they have this moment that they want to evoke, and so they write towards that moment, but then it feels unearned because they didn't do any of the legwork ahead of time to make that moment feel more powerful.
Yeah, I think you're describing 100% what happens because I feel like I'm that way too when I'm writing or coming up with things. And I've always looked back to Return of the Jedi and even Army of Darkness. If you look at both of those movies, they're just one cool sequence after another that fortunately George Lucas and Sam Raimi developed a through line story to make it all cohesive in a fun way. And so I've always
Yeah.
thought that there's that swashbuckling rescue on pirate ships at the beginning of Return of the Jedi, if you think about it. I mean, you could even say the pit battles, like a Colosseum battle, and then you get the swashbuckling Jabba sail barge stuff going on. The stuff on Endor, like Army of Darkness, same thing. Where at the beginning he falls, and all the knights are like, "Who the heck is this guy?" And then he gets thrown into a pit, and then they're all cheering him on, and then that wit. I mean, hey, by the way, I forgot. Do you watch Red Letter Media? I forgot to
Yeah,
ask you.
yeah, I do.
Is they did recently, they did like the top Sam Raimi movies. They did like 2 videos, and I think the top one was Army of Darkness, which I
It is
didn't
interesting. Army of Darkness definitely excels over Evil Dead, in my opinion. Like,
yeah, like Evil Dead was a good slasher film for what it was doing, and part 2 was just an amazing comedic like I love it. But Army of Darkness is they made a big budget goofy movie. Like those things don't happen. Like a deliberately goofy movie, you know?
but here's the key behind that, is
Yeah.
that Army of Darkness would not have worked if the Ash character had not been developed throughout
Yeah.
Evil Dead and Evil Dead Part 2, and it's like, in Sam Raimi's mind, it's not like he was writing Evil Dead in order to create Army of Darkness later. Army of Darkness felt earned because he had created something that did attract a cult audience, and he was like, "Wait a second, I have something here with this guy Bruce Campbell, like, people
Yeah.
really freaking resonate with him." Like,
Yeah, and that's what's cool about it, and that Bruce Campbell was able to understand that too. There's not many movies, although there are some, and actually Star Wars is a good example where the main character completely changes. Like, Luke goes from that farm boy to by Return of the Jedi, he's a very like stoic type of Jedi. And in the Evil Dead trilogy, Ash is like a scared wimp in the first one, and then by the third one, he's like, I don't give a F. Let's just, blow up some deadites. And
but he wouldn't have been that way if he hadn't been through it, and so it's
because we
like,
would be like, who is this guy?
right, like,
Like, why does it
why is
matter?
this guy that works at a supermarket so jaded?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, that is exactly. And then you see what he's gone through. Um, and are there other movies that have had multiple films with the same actor slash character and they kind of went on a journey? Because like I think Back to the Future, and I don't think in that you ever really see any character shifts. It's more of the world shifts around them.
Yeah. Yeah,
um
you're right.
and even because like it ends how it begins, him with his girlfriend Jennifer. It's just his parents are a little better off, but he gets to still be him.
"Oh, man, doc, I don't
Yeah.
know, this is heavy." Like,
No, that works. But yeah, I'm trying to think of other even like if you think of, I love the Blade movies, even though the third one's just all right. There's no, that's a movie you don't need character development. It's like the vampire world around him, how it's developing as he's trying to get through it. So, um, So here's the thing. What about like Marvel movies? Have we ever seen, and I actually have an answer, in these MCU movies where they really done a good job of a character changing? Because I feel like Robert Downey's Iron Man says it, but he's still fighting bad guys as a superhero. Whereas I think Doctor Strange completely changed how he would do things with his, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Any
see where you're
thoughts on
getting
that?
at, and I'm glad that you bring this up because, what with the new Spider-Man coming out this year,
Oh yeah.
this, I would say that this is one of those occasions of Spider-Man changing, like Peter Parker
Oh yeah.
evolving as a character because obviously we're coming off of the movie where he makes everyone forget that he was Spider-Man, and so it's like he's faced with this weird situation where everyone around him forgets the things that it's kind of like the inverse where, instead of
Yeah.
him going through all this stuff, it's like he went through it, but then everybody else rewound. Like they all went through it, but then they forgot that they went through it. And then he has to like adapt to that.
Which that's gonna be very dark thinking about it, because I'm sure you saw the trailer too.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, I saw it on mute. I forget what I was doing. I was just looking at my phone, and I think it was the thumbnail was just going, so I just watched it. But I think Spider-Man's cool. I think Spider-Man's really cool. I just think these Tom Holland movies are just a little too crazy. They're cool, but
Yeah. The best one, in my opinion, was the second one, the one with Jake Gyllenhaal.
yeah. Yeah, see, I don't remember a lot of stuff from it. I just this new one looks interesting because there's so, yeah, like you brought up how everyone that he knew around him doesn't know who he is. And so that's pretty dark on one level. And then you get to where, it looks like something's happening to him physically. I wonder how much that is a narrative parallel to what he's going through as Peter Parker, you know.
Yeah,
Because the Punisher's in it. That's a dark character.
definitely.
So, but yeah, and I wonder how much that is deliberate. To do, as you continue with stories with characters, is it just natural to get darker with them? I guess because now you know the character a lot more. You see how far they can go.
Yeah, I think creatively, there's only so much you can do with a character after they've gone through the Joseph Campbell hero arc, right?
Oh yeah,
So the idea is you have the world as it is, and then the way that Joseph Campbell describes it is when you go through this adventure, you travel into hell, and then as you come out of hell, you come out changed. Well, how many times can you go through hell and come out changed and not be for the worse? You know what I mean? So
yeah,
as a writer, as a creator, you have 2 options. Either you can retire that character from that arc, which in a lot of ways, like, that's kind of the way that they should have treated Luke Skywalker is, like, he has completed his journey
yeah,
as a protagonist. Now he's going to play the mentor to someone else, which
yeah.
is kinda what they did with Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? Like,
Right.
Obi-Wan Kenobi's arc is in the prequels, but in the next story, he plays like the wise old wizard and serves another purpose for someone else's story. They didn't
Right.
really do that with Luke Skywalker. They kind of went the other direction, which is to, like you said, take them even more dark and take them down a darker path and continue to kind of break them down. Um, I don't know. There's different ways to go about it, and especially, I would say in Japanese media, you're going to see a lot of that type of character that lasts just generations and generations. Like in Marvel Comics too, it's like, you have characters that have been around since the 40s. Like how many more stories can you tell about Steve Rogers, Captain America? How many more stories can you tell about Goku? It's like,
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And that made me reflect too on like how much of certain characters I like do I consume. And a lot of times, like I haven't read every Batman comic, not even close. Actually, I don't think I've ever read a Batman comic, but I think Batman's cool. I've seen the movies, the animated series, and it's like I've got enough from that. And it's almost like how I'm always wanting more Amuro and Char. But what if I got that? And then after a while, I'm like, what are they doing with the character? You know?
right.
Um, yeah, that is. Well, speaking of Stories with Amuro and Shar that are
Wait, is
not
this a
being
Gundam
told.
podcast?
This, yeah, this is, believe
We
it or
have
not,
literally discussed everything except Gundam.
everything but Gundam. I'm even wearing a Sega Genesis and Evangelion shirt. So, video game, different anime. What's going on? No, no, it's interesting because there's this report that came out. Bandai Namco's sales from Gundam franchise nearing 1.7 billion target. So it's a target they were trying to make. Japan game
Okay.
maker bets on Hollywood film based on Giant Robot IP to lift sales. So one interesting thing about this is that angle that this is talking about, where it's saying they're nearing this target, a deliberate target, bets on Hollywood film. I mean,
Okay.
I feel like this just shows how much more serious they are taking this movie. They're not just making an Assassin's Creed movie, which I didn't even see that, but I don't think anyone wanted to. You know, but it's not like it's one of those things like you could tell by how they were marketing the Assassin's Creed movie it wasn't good. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like Michael Fassbender, great actor, but he's that kind of guy that you pick for something to elevate it, to make it
Gonna suck.
watchable. What's that?
That's gonna suck. No.
Right. Yeah. Right. But it's funny because it's like sometimes the movies he does aren't that good, but it's like he's a good actor. Yeah, I feel like sometimes it's like the wrong role. But not really. It's like the wrong movie. You know.
It's like
For
everything's wrong about it except him.
yes, that's true, and that's what's cool about seeing him in the X-Men movies as Magneto. And
Yeah.
I just think he nails it. But anyway, so speaking with ChatGPT. Sorry. I know I had it break down to kind of bulletize so we can kind of talk through some of what they're talking about.
Sure. And may I just interject here
Oh, yeah,
because
of course.
I'm always, you know, you guys know the format of the show by now. Adam is eternally positive. He's the optimist. I'm the guy that is going to ruin everything. I'm Adam Conover. He's Adam Blue, I'm Adam Conover. I'm Steven ruins
Okay.
everything.
Okay.
The way that this headline is portrayed is that Bandai Namco is making lots and lots of money off of Gundam. Does that necessarily mean that Gundam has made more money this year? Or considering some of the other news that we've talked about in the last 6 to 8 months, Bandai Namco has been taking a lot of Gundam stuff in-house lately. There's Bandai Namco Filmworks. BB
Yep.
Studio is no longer a thing. It's Bandai Namco is the video game studio. So you're talking about Bandai Namco is making a lot more revenue off of the Gundam franchise, but how much of that is driven by Gundam actually earning more money versus Bandai Namco has brought more Gundam stuff in-house and therefore their share of Gundam merchandise
Oh,
revenue is going up. Does that make sense?
yes. I did not even think about that because that would when they started this stuff last year, way in this is a year ago. This was over a year ago because no, almost because it was like right before the beginning of the quarter last year, April 1st. You're
Yeah.
right. They already did that reorganization, the consolidation. They sold the
G-Flux,
studio.
like
Yep. They sold the studio to Nintendo, one of their studios. So you're making a good point that this is kind of bringing, like, when it comes to the Gundam IP, they've kind of consolidated that.
yeah, and this goes back to, like, the type of reporting that happens a lot. So, like, for instance, around Black Friday last year, it was reported that it was the biggest Black Friday of all time. Americans spent way more money on Black Friday than they've ever done before. But if you look at the actual transactions, the number of transactions went down. So as people were
Mhm.
spending more money, but they were actually buying less things on Black Friday. So that indicates that it's not necessarily that like, oh, the economy is doing great. It's that everything's more expensive and
Yeah.
people are buying less. And 67% of those purchases were made with buy now, pay later. So it's like it's a false because you can make numbers say whatever you want. And that's what I see whenever I see this stuff, I get skeptical. I'm like, wait a second. Bandai Namco is making a whole lot more money off of Gundam. Is it because Gundam's making a lot more money, or is it because Bandai Namco is making more money off of Gundam? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, that's really good and sharp insight. And I think you will see your little analysis as we go through each one of these. Um, Yeah, because that's making me think to back like when the VR team was a separate team from the ones making the video games, and yeah, there's a lot of spend going on there. Yeah, closing the studios, doing the exclusive Seed remaster on Switch and PC, random things, right? Okay. Well, so let's see. It's considered top tier IP performance globally, and it's apparently operating like a mini Marvel inside Japan's ecosystem. So the main takeaway here is that Gunpla is still the engine. So model kits are doing heavy lifting revenue wise. The business model is genius. Low cost to produce, high repeat purchases, high repeat purchases. So they're banking on the fact that the Gunpla buyers buy the same things multiple. I guess it makes sense if you're a customizer. And then endless variants. I guess that makes sense too. Did you see the Apex Legends Gunpla variants? Like
I did.
it's like model kits, but they're just repaints. It's which is cool. Um,
Yeah.
so Gundam is, and we talked about this on another show recently. Gundam is less dependent on hit shows than other IP. It's a product-driven franchise first,
It
media
is.
second. But here's what's interesting. Even if it's product-driven first, could it still be the media is what is advertising it? Like, you need the media to advertise, but once you do, it's like a gold mine. Like, it's almost like they don't have to spend much on the show, which can explain the kind of short and sometimes lackluster G-Quux, in terms of some of the cells of animation.
I'm
Yeah.
just
No, but
No,
you
I've
know
always
how
called it 22-minute commercials for a reason.
yeah,
Like,
and it's interesting because, like, they're not always like that because, like, sure, maybe I'm throwing shade at G-Quux, but Hathaway 2 certainly isn't trying to be a mainstream, like, uh, toy seller, you know what I mean? So it's like we still have that, which
true.
what can be another issue that will answer this problem that they have here is trying to be bigger in the West is why didn't we get Hathaway 2 already? And like that's like a fumble that by now they had on Netflix the first one in 2021. Anyway. Um okay. So takeaway number 2, global expansion is working but slowly. CFO specifically highlights overseas growth, more Gundam-based stores, events, and distribution outside Japan, but it's still under optimized globally compared to Disney and Nintendo. So it's interesting that they're being compared to like Disney and Nintendo, maybe because of the size of IP in Japan, but when it looks at its global market, it is it's like not going as far as Disney and Nintendo goes. Um, Nintendo has a store. I think they have one in New York and one in California, maybe. Um,
I mean,
Disney
Bandai
has.
Namco, they have, like, the Bandai Cross store
Oh yeah, that's right.
and, of course, the Gundam-based store that just opened
Yep.
in Chicago. So, I
Yeah.
mean, they have some of that going on, but
Right.
it's tough. I would not necessarily I don't know, because okay, it's an unfair comparison because Disney and Nintendo are companies that have, like, a family of franchises underneath them. Like, Disney has Frozen
Right.
and Toy Story and all that stuff. Like, you can't really compare Gundam to Disney. You can compare Bandai to Disney and, like, okay, so Bandai has all of these franchises that they represent, like, especially Bandai Namco on the video game side. It's like they've got Dragon Ball, they've got Elden Ring, they've
Yep.
got all this stuff. But, like, to sit there and say, like, Gundam compared to Disney and Nintendo is kind of like, I
I
don't
know what
know.
you mean. But I
Yeah.
I would say still, like, getting, when Disney releases a movie overseas, how
Oh,
it's
yeah.
in line globally, like, it's the world is excited about it. With Hathaway 2, again, and I think if they released Hathaway 2 in the West, even a week after it was in Japan, this number could be high. Well, I guess this might be not counting that was January, and we're about to get to April, so it could have potentially been higher. There was even a roundtable discussion of Hathaway on the official Gundam channel of Hathaway 2. It's like I'm not going to watch that yet. I want to like watch the movie, And I know it's subtitled, but everything has the, auto subtitles. I'll usually, if it's in another language, try to grab it, translate what I can. But
Yeah.
uh,
Well, you bring up a good point. It's like when you have a hype train that's building up to the release of something, and then it comes out, but it doesn't come out in your area, and then you have to wait after the hype has already died down, then how likely are you to watch it? Like, let me put it this way. If Hathaway doesn't come out in the US, dubbed or sub, doesn't matter. If it doesn't come out before July, I'm probably not gonna watch it at all.
oh, I doubt that. Come on, because I'll be talking about it, and then you're gonna be like,
And then I'll
okay,
have to watch it. Yeah,
well,
no.
no, but
I'll watch it because of what you and I do,
sure, sure.
here, but
No,
but would
that's
I watch it organically? Probably not.
okay. Yeah, because then we don't even know other than yeah, because the theater. That's the thing. Going to the theater is another barrier to entry, especially for an anime. But
Yeah,
you bring a good point because if it still doesn't come out by July, I feel like this is coming up to new announcements for the Gundam live action movie. So how much are they trying to leverage maybe Hathaway 2 in the West to drum up the live action Gundam movie? But I also think that could be a mistake because it could be confusing. So I feel like
yeah.
the things are up in the air right now and almost don't make sense. Um Yeah, I don't know. Because it would be weird, like, if they maybe announced more information on Gundam live action movie, like a teaser trailer, but then, like, Hathaway 2's coming out soon. We'll see it's like th
Well, and you know what? This could be the strategy. Like, what
okay.
if the reason that Hathaway 2 hasn't come out in the US yet is because they are waiting until they have a trailer for the live action movie to show before
Oh, and
Hathaway.
it might be, here's your chance to catch the live action Gundam trailer movie yeah, that is cool, man. I like that. If that's what they're doing, that's cool. Because
Yeah.
it
If
almost
you guys like that idea, by all means, take it,
still
run with it.
well, here's something
They are
interesting.
still doing a lot of promotion with, like, G Generation Eternal. Like,
Oh, yeah.
every week, they're dropping a new character from Hathaway in Eternal for free, so that's cool.
But how much are they gonna be promoting this movie in Japan? Is it gonna be like a reverse? Well, we're gonna put all of our effort into promoting the live action movie in Japan the same time as the US. Like, it
So
almost because then it's almost like, let's say they do that. It's like a worldwide thing that's like inverse to what they would do when something in Japan comes out. So it's yeah, I have no idea how they're going to go about this. But anyway, some of the takeaways from this, and we'll get back to this, is they're nearing target to the West, but they're still trying to figure out what to do in the West. So, um, okay, let me move on to this next one. Games still aren't carrying their weight. No major breakout Gundam game is driving this number. Compared that to Pokemon and even Spider-Man. It's like you
yeah,
think of Spider-Man as a comic book character, but the games are pretty big.
they
Um,
are.
so Gundam is succeeding despite weak game performance. And so I think that's like two things that we can, I guess, point out is the fact that they don't really have any interesting game, and these other IPs do. And they also, like with the Hathaway movie is out, but that's like the global strategy that is not working right. So for sure, those are some issues they could work out.
That's something that you've talked about before is, like, Warhammer does a really good job with their video games.
Yeah. Oh man, it would be great, Steven, if we had like the Gundam gaming studio and we would like get with different developers and be like, hey, we would like to pitch a Gundam game for you to make for Bandai Namco. Like, wouldn't it be cool if Bandai Namco had that? Like, they have that studio that made Little Nightmares. I think that's an indie studio that they snatched up. I could be wrong on that, but I think there's potential for them to be like, hey, we need just a team of guys that know video games and Gundam to get with other developers and be like, hey, make us a Gundam that or a Gundam this. I was playing that
Yeah.
Starship Troopers first person shooter made by the team that made a Warhammer 40K first person shooter. So they're like doing all these badass IP games.
Yeah, give us anybody except the people that made the Transformers 1 racing game thing, like, whatever that was.
I mean, oh man, that would
Can you
be
imagine if the because that honestly, that is the type of thing that Bandai would do, is they would make, like, a racing game that is like, "Oh, you get to race as a Gundam, and then, like, maybe you transform into the wing,
it
or,
would be
like, you
just like if they
transform
made
into
a
the Beta Wave
game
Rider."
where you just build Gunpla. Like, what? No, I'm joking. I know people like that. That's just but I guess that speaks to the other thing, right? Where there's almost like this other sort of
There's this weird layer, like,
yeah.
honestly, man, when is there gonna be a Gundam, crossover event with Rocket League?
Right,
It's
we
like
might
they've
as
done
well.
Fortnite, they've done Apex, they've done Call of Duty. All we need is a Rocket League, like, something that makes absolutely no sense that
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the like something that does make sense, and I know Ultronymous would know this. There's that game Giga Bash that's like a
Yes.
kaiju multiplayer fighting game.
Yeah,
Perfect example to put Gundam in, or that Iron Saga Versus that actually has the Zeo Rhymer in it. That could have had some Gundam. And so that's another thing, Stephen. If we had this Gundam gaming group under Bandai Namco, we would then go to Iron Saga Versus developers, be like, hey, let's work on putting the Hathaway mobile suits in here, you know? Um,
exactly.
dang, I would go to Westwood Studios. They're now Petroglyph Studios, you know, the guys that make Command and Conquer, and I would say, okay, guys, we're gonna make the most badass Gundam RTS ever. It's gonna have base building. It's gonna have no unit caps. I mean, like just to build. Oh. But anyway, okay. Anime is now a marketing funnel, and we were talking about this, where they say that the anime brings in new fans, right? And the merch does well. And so,
Yeah,
as much as we say Gunpla makes money for Bandai, I think it requires the anime to give it context. And you've talked about in the 80s how it was very important that the robot designs that they were grabbing for like Robotech or Transformers specifically, it's like let's then make context for it. And I think people subconsciously enjoy context to their goods. And so as much as merchandise in Gunpla might be huge for Gundam, I think the layer that sometimes you don't see, like you brought up before earlier, is the fact that it is the well-made shows that then make the Gunpla awesome. And
exactly.
even if we had issues with The Witch from Mercury, at the end of the day, in my opinion, that's a pretty interesting anime, even if it's not Gundam. That's just an interesting anime. In fact, it doesn't always do anime things. You know, it's just kind of um, its own
It's
thing.
true.
Um, okay, here's a good one. Gundam is becoming a lifestyle brand, and I feel like they push that so much.
I
You can
really
just
don't want that.
right. Well, I was about to say, you can just ask Kakarot. Like, if you go watch his news thing, he will tell you every cafe, food item, clothing, um, which, wait a minute, what if that's the play? What if that's what's going on? Bandai's like, hey, Kakarot, we want you to promote our lifestyle brand. Here's, you know, be-
That's the real reason. That's
no,
what he's been doing behind the scenes for years. He's a
the
clandestine
lifestyle promoter.
agent of
Yeah, exactly. Which, again, that stuff is cool. Like, I love it where people can have their own aura aesthetic is what you call like where it's
yeah.
like,
Well,
um,
and that's a lot of brands, right? Like
yeah,
Marvel became a lifestyle brand. It's
yep,
not even so much that you consume the media. It's not that you necessarily buy the merchandise, but if you buy a t-shirt that's got Iron Man's face on it at Target, Marvel gets a few dollars and like you get to kind of I don't know, it's like
represent.
advertising that you're
Yeah.
a fan of something, which is such
Well,
a weird concept in a way.
well, it's like this shirt. I'm signaling a very specific audience that is like, hey, Sega Genesis, Evangelion, get it, and these things are awesome. It's like so it is funny, and I don't want to make fun of anyone,
I
but it's
do.
like when you see someone with a Spider-Man shirt, it's like, yeah, no shit, we all like Spider-Man. Why are you even wearing the shirt? We know. Like I hope I didn't get you hurt. Well, I'm glad you liked that because
Oh my god. He said we all like Spider-Man.
yeah, I mean that's uh,
It's so true, man. I like you said, it's like I don't wanna poke fun at people.
right.
Honestly, my younger brother is one of these types of guys that's like, he is an MCU guy, you
That's
know?
cool. No, I
Every
respect that.
trailer that comes out, he's like, "Oh my god, The Punisher is gonna be the most amazing show ever," you know?
I love
Um,
that. I love it when people have passion for that stuff because sometimes I meet people and I like ask what they're into, and it's stuff that you know, or they just don't want to say it.
right.
So that's why I think I love it when people are willing to say things like, "Oh, I love MCU. I can't wait." Because even though I don't care too much, I just like that excitement. And so I'll sometimes ask things I don't know. It's like, "Oh, you like the MCU a lot," and it's like, "Hey, what happened to this? Where is this character now?" And then because
Yeah.
again, I don't really follow it, but it's kind of cool.
But I think
Um,
it's different when you're part of, like, a more exclusive community. So like you said, with the shirt that you're wearing, Neon Genesis Evangelion, and it's in the Sega Genesis logo, like, that
yeah,
is a very specific. First
yeah,
of all, you have to be old enough to know what a Sega Genesis is.
yeah.
Um, you know,
I know.
guilty. But, like, also, you have to be kind of into that thing. It reminds me of the other day, I was picking up my kids from daycare, and there's a guy that has, a daughter that's in the same daycare as us, and, on his car, he has a Foxhound sticker.
Oh yeah.
Now, the other day, when I was getting my kids into the car, he saw that I was wearing my Gundam hat, and I was like, "Oh, man, I'm sorry," like, because I was kinda blocking him from getting into his car, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry," and he's like, "Oh, no, no problem, man. I love your hat." And I was like, "I love your bumper sticker. Did
Yes.
like, did we just become best friends?" Like
That is awesome. I love those moments. Yeah, and that's why this stuff is cool. Even the Spider-Man shirt. It's like even I'm, hey, Spider-Man, that's cool. No shit. But no, but seriously, that is still cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm trying to think what's another cool one. I remember like I think that's where like band shirts come in. Like, especially if it's a band you really like that you don't know if many people know, you wear the shirt. Oh, what's
Yeah.
that?
Madion, the
Madion.
yeah, DJ. Well, it's
Oh, cool.
Madion and Porter Robinson, so it's like
Oh, okay. Porter Robinson,
yeah.
yeah, I've heard from you. Okay. So yeah, that's a good example because if someone knew that, or let's say you're just hanging out with someone that they're like, "Hey, what's that shirt?"
A lot of people just think it's a picture of 2 guys holding hands, and
Which,
they that's
which yeah, that could mean something. But so then going back to the lifestyle brand thing, I think that is smart
yeah.
for a company like Bandai Namco to be doing that anyway. But I wonder how much they're spending on things that, like when you see the little Gundam cat toys, like I mean
Right.
that's cool, but why? Could have that been a remake of old show, a new animation? I wonder if they're now going to be thinking about that more since they're in house. It's like, oh, where do we really put this? It's not like a team over here that does merchandise or a team over here that does it's like, where should we really be focusing? Um, okay, so
And dude,
oh
even in terms of, like, their merchandise, it does feel like they're unfocused because, like you said, if Gunpla drives, like, 90% of their sales, then why do they keep making these other lines, like the Artifact line, the G-Frame,
yeah,
the Ensemble? Like,
yeah,
there's so many different versions of, like,
mobility joint or something.
how many different
Yeah.
toys do we need when you could just have one line that commands the whole thing?
Especially if it's in a period like now where there's that sort of economical pressure where people are, and you brought it up from the last Black Friday, they're having to spend more, but they're buying less. So they have to be very, like, how I talk about a lot of times I don't buy a game at full price.
Yeah.
I did for the new game Crimson Desert just because I heard and saw so much about it that I'm like, oh yes, I would pay full price for this. And I think that's the first game I paid full price for this year, except for other indie games that came out cheaper. And I think, with the rising costs of robot spirits, I've noticed more than other things. Like, it's hard for me to then want to collect all different types of Gundam stuff. So if Gundam's a lifestyle brand in a way, like because they're trying to push different facets of a lifestyle,
Yeah.
I wonder if they have to kind of slim that down so then they can maybe make sure things aren't too expensive to make. Because what if there's this sort of lopsidedness where even though Gundam is making a lot of money and it is going in that direction, what and I think what I'm trying to say is there's that missing what do you call it? On the table, the money.
Oh, yeah. They
In
don't wanna
terms
leave
of
any money on the table for
not
sure.
leaving any money on the table, in terms of consolidation, more than just and this is different than that argument about P Bandai. No, they're like, "Well, make more." No, and I'm actually trying to say the opposite. It's like there could be too much that's stopping them from having refined product lines. It's like so scattered that there's probably a bloat in cost just to manage all that.
I mean, it does kinda feel like they're singling you out because you are the only guy that buys robot spirits.
I know it feels like that. It really does. That's why the G Defense, you're like, that's a good price. And I looked at it and I'm like, wait a minute. Which actually we're gonna get to that in a second, right? Because we
Yes.
talked about that before. Yeah. Okay. So I think that might be it. I mean, their biggest limitation right now is no mainstream cultural entry point in the West. But I really do think that the movie's gonna do that. And that's why I do think the movie's gonna be good, even if it's not exactly what a Gundam fan would want. And I'm gonna be aware of that because the reason I was able to get into Gundam by not caring how the animation from 79 looked. I was like, I don't care how this looks. I'm gonna try to take it for what it is. And I enjoyed that. So I'm gonna go into the movie with that same toxic positivity. No, I'm just joking, but I just,
I dig it.
it. Um, okay. Getting near the end here, I wanted to show you guys something else. Again, this goes to the robot spirits we were talking about. Love the robot spirits line. I've got pretty much almost all the Zeta stuff. There's a few things I don't have that are like the extra stuff, but I have 3, and there's actually one on the desk right here, versions of the Robot Spirits Mark II. It's basically, this is that special edition one that has a darker color and it has the real type markings.
It's so
The
good looking.
Yeah, I know. I love it.
It's
The
like
original
definitive.
release, it is the definitive because the original release doesn't have this. It's just white, which is fine because it's for anime. This new one we're seeing right here is the robot. Oh, well, and then I have the Titans version. So, but this new one we're seeing right here, it comes with the G Defensor, which on the Robot Spirits one, there is an attachment point already. So they planned this. But also this is a darker shade than the original release, which is interesting.
Ooh.
But the G Defensor is also being sold separately, which couple things. One, I feel like that is a good corporate move for the consumer to allow you to buy a separate G Defensor. So if you don't want to have to buy the 2-pack, but also for those that love the Mark IIs, there's another variant and I could get the G Defensor. Super excited to get this. I have the cost signature Mark II with the G Defensor as well, which is, very stylized look. So when I, eventually do the review of the G Defensors, I'll, one thing, the G Defensor on the cost signature I have, it's very finicky. It falls apart easily. That's kind of a Kotoki thing. So that's why I'm kind of excited about this because these newer anime robot spirits have really nailed that structural integrity, especially when it comes to adding things on.
It looks pretty sturdy. I mean, just from the photos here. And
Yep.
to be honest, I personally think that you should get this and the G Defensor solo.
I am. No, I am.
Oh, you're getting both. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Because I was
I'm
gonna
gonna.
say, one of the things about me collecting Zetas is that, like, I get 2 high grades so that when I have them on the shelf, I can have one in Wave Rider mode and one in standard robot mode.
No,
Likewise, I think I've got, like, 4 or 5 high grade, Mark IIs, specifically because I want one with the G Defensor on its back and one without.
dude, you're speaking my language. I mean, that's exactly what
You have
I
to.
want to do. And what is cool about that too is you'd almost want 3 because I love that it has the little separate flight unit for when they were delivering, and just to have those multiple, like to me, this is a very peak, like time of Gundam when I was watching Gundam. When I got into Zeta, I loved it. I loved the Mark II, and then the G Defensor comes out for it, and I'm like, well, this is getting even, or the Super Gundam,
See, what
which
I'm gonna do is I'm gonna 3D print you a Salamis Kai for you
oh,
to have the scene where Kotz dies. You can
and
have the little
yeah,
G Defensor pod and, like, recreate that moment.
that would be that, and I have enough explosion pieces to like add to the effect there. And that was when, if I remember correctly, when he crashed into the the Salamis
Yeah, so
or
it
was it
was there
asteroid?
was a huge argument about it online the other
Oh,
day. This was like 6 weeks ago.
oh,
But, everyone's like, "Oh, how did Kotz die anyway?" And someone was like, Yazan shot him down." And I was like, "Actually, Yazan might have shot at him, but he ran into an asteroid."
oh, it was asteroid. Okay, yeah, yeah,
Well, and
exactly.
it's
That's
like he hit an asteroid, knocked himself out, and then proceeded to hit a Salamis. Like,
okay. That's what it was. I knew it was something like that. It was dark. Like to me, that's one of the darker deaths because it's like even though there's a lot of tragic stuff, those are one of the things like he almost asked for,
it
but
was, like,
you
so
didn't.
preventable.
Yeah, it's like, but you felt bad. Yeah, that's again, and I actually did a video on that. I think I always forget the lore, but where I was kind of going over some of the deaths in
Yeah, I
Zeta.
remember when you did the Zeta death count. That was
Yeah,
fantastic.
I know. Yeah, that's Victory should be one I do next. But um, anyway, this comes out in October. Um, pre-orders open. It doesn't say when the
You wanna go ahead and do
pre-orders.
it now?
Oh no. No, this I gotta wait for my next paycheck where I can budget. Like this is nearly the amount I'm budgeted for like fun stuff every paycheck. So I might have to wait on that. But sometimes what I do is like if I miss out on a pre-order, it will just show up in Ami,
Yeah,
and then I'll be able to um so here's something else too. I just know delivery group B. So they've already sold through delivery group A.
interesting.
That can explain why or wait a minute. Products of different shipping groups or shipping months will be placed in different shopping carts. I don't know what that means, but it just means this is probably going to be later than Group A. But I'm fine. Okay.
Now boarding Group C.
Yeah, I was thinking that for a second. It's like I just wait till the end.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to just stand and wait. But if I'm getting an action figure, like if I was at the airport and they're like Group A and I'm like D and they're handing out action figures, I'd be pretty sad. That's
Turn it sideways and be like, "No, look, see, it's an A with that was misprinted."
that's actually pretty good. Okay, well, cool. Well, I think that's it for today. That was a lot of fun. I think the main takeaway, just looking at the financials, Gundam is a very popular property, but there's so much more potential for it to be a badass thing to enjoy and love and cherish. So we'll see if that happens. But Steven, anything else going on to bring up?
No, have a great weekend, y'all. Thank you
Yeah,
for tuning in. This was a fun one.
it was. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, have a good one. We will talk later. See y'all.